One thing I'm going to comment on just for fun is in your packets was a catalog from, I'm trying to think of the plastic place. Aluminite. They're in Kalamazoo, and actually their little factory is one of these places where they don't technically have a factory store, but you can go there and it's this little building and there's a door that sort of says entryway, and you walk in there and they, is anybody here? Is anybody, hello? And eventually somebody will come out and you can buy their stuff there. So if during the week you happen to be in that area, you can go in there and get whatever you want to.
Fresh.
What? Yeah, good. Hot off the press.
And if they don't have it, E-Rockets carries all their stuff, we'll be glad to ship it to you. Just to throw that in there, boss.
Alrighty, well, I wrote things down as people showed up, so we'll start with Balsam Machining Service and Bill Singleton, if that's all right.
Bill was the first one here, you should go first.
First victim.
Was that fellow's presentation, was it interesting?
I liked it.
Hello, everyone. Hello. For a few people, maybe 2 or 3 that don't know me, I'm Bill Singleton, Chief Proprietor along with my wife, Balsam Machining Service. We used to be in a Chicago suburb. We made a short move to Nevada. And now we're in the desert. So I actually like coming back here, see a little green. I don't see a whole lot of green where I'm at, but I still love it. I've got selling in the field all week. I'll be here all week through the banquet. So if anybody needs any nose cones, body tubes, motors, I've got all the Estes motors. I've got Aerotech, everything up through K. I didn't bring any, I have L's and M's back at the shop, so my van just filled up, that's it. There's just no more room. So those are the things I usually have at a Naram. I've got little bits and things for contest flyers, centering rings, launch slugs. Most of you know what I've got. If you don't, come on by. I've got that 10 by 20 tent kind of in the middle there with the Aerotech banner and my Balsam banner. Tonight, I want to talk about a couple of little, some kits we've been working on. First off, I've got, for anybody that's not familiar with it, a kit that I call the School Rocket. I've had it for a number of years now, probably 7 years, not more. This is what it looks like. That pin got a little smashed in the box. BT5 based, balsa wood nose cone. Separate, there's not a streamer in there, but this is just a display model here. It's streamer recovery. It's great for small fields. I sell it in a bulk pack format. You can get 1 kit, you get 20 kits, 50 kits, got a youth group. You get 100 kits. It's one price to all. You can only buy it directly through me, and it's $5.75. It's got through the wall pin mounts. This makes it great for classroom building session. The kids pretty much get the fins on straight almost all the time. Again, $5.75. Go online. That's the best way to order it. If you go online, the secret is you're going to pay one flat $6 shipping fee. I do accept school purchase orders. I get quite a few of those. They pay actual shipping, but that's their choice.
The unpaid testimonial is I probably ordered a couple thousand of these kits for Bill.
Steve, this is one of our bread and butter products, Balsam Machining bread and butter products. This little kit, and it competes with China. I mean, it's 100% made in the USA. Maybe the shock cord is made in China. I'm not sure. The elastic probably, but everything else, the balsa wood nose cones, fins, everything.
The beauty of it is a couple things though. When you're doing classrooms there, it's buildable with yellow glue, which doesn't have any fumes. It's not toxic. It doesn't require any tools or measuring because everything is pre-marked on the motor mount. So the only thing, if you're doing an outreach there, the only thing you need to bring with you basically is yellow glue, some table coverings, and some napkins to wipe up the excess glue.
Thank you, Steve. That's an important point I forgot to mention, is the yellow glue theme throughout these rocket kits. These are educational kits. And you don't want to give the kids, as Steve pointed out, CA. You don't want to give them epoxy. The yellow glue, you can almost drink the stuff in it. It doesn't. Okay. So that was successful. Last Naram, in fact, came out with a larger kit that I also call it a school rocket kit. I call it the 3-inch school rocket kit. Here it is. So I went from the small kit to the 3-inch kit. This one is also, since introducing it last year, been very popular. Naturally, I don't sell anywhere near as many, much bigger kit, but this is a great bird on a D12-3. You can fly it in a small field. It doesn't go real high, and the 18-inch plastic chute in there, it just comes down close. It uses a polystyrene nose cone. Polystyrene cone paints beautifully. This kit also assembles with yellow glue. It's got balsa wood fins. They don't go all the way through to the motor mount. They're tabbed in, but they are tabbed into slots. I don't have the, here's a long tube, shows you this is a double length tube, but it shows you the slots there that you tab into. Again, no tools are required. We can just get the yellow glue out, talk the kids through building it, and you're home running. So I have this available in a 24mm motor mount. I've got some here for sale. It lists online, it's been online for some time, for $15. Again, this line of kits is designed for the educational market, bulk pack type thing. Got to keep the cost down for that kind of market. Cost is very, very important. Got an engine hook on it. So what I did then is new this year, and I don't have the short version here. It didn't make it into the box, but there I have a 29mm motor mount. That's not it. But I have a 29mm motor mount that has motor retention clips similar to this one here. Okay. Didn't go with a Estes or a Aerotech type retainer because you have to epoxy or CA those retainers on. By going with the clips, again, it's all yellow glue. The T-nuts, which I used, come inserted into the motor mount ring. That kit, and it has plywood through the wall fins that go all the way to the motor mount, including the 29mm version. This kit sells in bulk for $25 with the 29mm motor mount on it. I kept going, I didn't stop there and things. I've had certain people's request. This is a payload bay. This is your basic, simple payload bay. Just got a body tube, 6-inch coupler, and a bulkhead in the back and a screw rocket. Okay. This goes with the school rocket. 3-inch rocket. Put it on the 24 or the 29. And now you've got a rocket with a payload bay. You can get this you can use this payload bay in the 24mm version. It only adds $5. It's a separate payload bay kit for $5. Again, educational market, keep the cost down.
What's the exact outside diameter of the tube?
All right, good question, Mark. This is a 3-inch tube. I call it the T300 tube. It's the same exact tube that's just used in the Big Daddy kit. This is the polystyrene nose cone. Fits the T300 tube. In fact, it's the 3-inch tube to Estes, using its Pro Series line. They have a 3-inch tube. I believe they're discontinuing it. I didn't stop there. I kept going. I've got another bay. I wanted a low-cost, entry-level, dual-deploy bay that, and there's nothing that hasn't been done here before. This has been done. Okay. I've got a long screw out, a rear bulkhead, and there's a front bulkhead in there, which will put you see how it pops out. Okay. And it's held together. There's pieces of body tube, coupler stock that 1 inch wide. You cut a short section out and you glue it in to retain both the front bulkhead and the rear bulkhead. The front bulkhead has 3 holes in it, attachment to the shock cord, another hole for the ejection charge wiring to go from the bay to the front. Ejection for the main chute, and then the drogue chute would come out the rear. You can also use it any way you want. You can use motor ejection, use the avionics bay to hold the altimeter just to pop out a main chute here. So it's really an entry-level type scheme for educators looking for something to start with, to get the juices of the kids rolling, get them something they can put together. I have one caveat on these kits. The 29-go motor kit, this bay, the other payload bay, I don't have instructions yet. It'll be a couple months before I have them online. This is being introduced here. I have these things available for sale. This avionics bay here, $10. Again, the simpler one is $5. The 29mm school kit, $25. The 24mm version, $15. The $15 kit doesn't have through-the-wall fins, but I have an option there. You can get that. So I've got different levels of options there. I didn't stop there. I don't have any of these for sale here, but I put a 38mm mount. Now, I want to back up a little bit. The whole theme of these kits is they all go together with yellow glue. Okay, this kit here, 38mm motor mount, uses the same Big Daddy tube. Okay, uses the polystyrene nose cone. Okay. It all went together with yellow glue. Okay. In fact, I got a couple months back in the Nevada desert, I got my level 2 on one of these with a J570.
Ballsy.
The reason I could put a motor this size in a Big Daddy tube, normally this T300 tube you wouldn't consider it high power. Okay. What I did is I've got a full length coupler that's also slotted. Okay. So it goes in almost full length. It only leaves enough room for the nose cone shoulder up the front. A lot of strength, because this tube now, with the coupler in there, is 50% stronger than a lot of 3-inch high power. I don't have any of these. This is experimental. This one, I don't have any of these in the kit.
Any anticipated price for that one, Bill?
I'm looking at keeping it below $40 actually. And yeah, again, Steve brings up that the price is important in this market here. Okay. Before I leave, I didn't stop at 38. I went to 54.
Have you figured out how to get that rocket in that box?
The fins come off here. This is just for demo purposes, but there's these two. Next Naram, I'll probably have, and I'll probably have kits. Everything else I talked about, I have kits. Also, I've got some options that I offer at Naram that aren't online. I mean, you can call me up and get them, but they're not on my website. You can get an upgrade to a longer tube if you want it. Just come see me in the field. All these things, except with the exception of these two, I've got for sale out in the field. I'll be in the field all week. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
So, and one thing I'm commenting too is Bolson Machining Service is one of our medal sponsors this year. Much appreciated as far as the Naram finances are concerned. All right, Rick Randall of New Way. Oh, he's taking the shortcut, okay.
Hello everyone, I'm Rick Randall from New Way Space Models. The square rocket guy. Yeah,
Cool rocket
they're
guy.
square. So, really this started out as a fun project, and now it's been 8 years that we've been doing this, which is hard to believe. From a science fair project that my kid, when he was in 7th grade, we got to talking about shapes and stuff, and why don't we do a square rocket? So, oh, I don't know. So here we are now. There's 20-some kids, and it's crazy. But I just brought some newer ones to show you. Kind of still doing the same thing: square tubes, balsa nose cones, and so typical building like all your other kits. Let's see here. So this is the Exocet based on the Estes model, with the fins opposing one another, which I guess the real one actually they were in line with one another. So one of the things that really the small guys don't do is white decals because it's difficult. The old Alps printers, Gordon from Roachworks and the DXL stopped doing it because the machines got bad and everything. So I just learned how to silkscreen and made silkscreen decals. It just seemed like the simplest solution was to just do it the way that Estes did it. So mine aren't quite like Estes, but same idea. We're just silkscreening on decal paper and cutting them out. So a couple of the kits have white decals, which is kind of a unique thing, I think, especially for a small kind of what I am. This one is the Starship Deceptor. And this was kind of my homage to the Mars Snooper 2 from Estes with the red and the white. And when I'm sitting, and a lot of guys that design rockets, and you sit and you dream and all that. And this literally, I had a dream, and I woke up, got a piece of paper, and I drew this. It's the weirdest thing ever. And it just kind of turned out neat, I think so. And Starship Deceptor, the same number of letters in Starship and Deceptor, which I thought was weird, and it just worked out that way. So,
Are those round tubes near the front?
they are round tubes. Yeah. I know.
Heresy.
So we have a square one, which was the very first kit that I made. Just had a simple square fins and actually almost the same size. So I said, we were talking. I said I should make a square tube. And my buddy says, no, make it 2 square. And so it's 2 square. And the only thing we really did was we laser cut square holes in the entire, all 4 sides. And then you can paint the body tube inside that holds the engine so you can see it through. So you could do any color, you could wrap it with chrome, or you could paint it inside, or however you want to do it to get that kind of thing. And then we left the end open. The fins touch the tubes, so any air flow would come out the bottom, and try not to make it worse fly. So that's how we did that. And let's see. This is like the newest kit. This is cornered. So there's lots of corners on the fins, and it's got tubes on the fins. And the unique distinction here is that it's a twin engine. So this was a happy accident. I did not plan for 2 engines to fit in this square tube. I ordered them, and when I got them, it just happened to work. So happy accident for this particular rocket. And again, we used some white decals that we silkscreened along with black ones also. Then the last thing that I had done, a guy contacted me through the email, and he built a large, gigantic square rocket for LDRS. And he's like, it'd be really cool is if you made a kit of my rocket. And I said, well, maybe we could do that. So this guy, Tom Cohen, had a 14-foot, 12-inch square tube, 240 pounds, launched it on an N motor, and you can find videos of it online. And so we went the opposite way. I downscaled and made a model of it. Mine's not painted, but we made the model of his exact rocket. And
It's a virus.
he's bought a zillion of these, which is amazing to me. And we made just a few kind of a limited basis kind of a thing. The unique thing about this is the nose cone is made from flat balsa. So this is all laser cut pieces that you assemble, and then it has a solid plug that you put in the bottom to make that nose cone. So it looks really different when you see the kit form of it, because there's no nose cone in it. It's just these flat sheets. And on the front is a picture of his rocket going with the end motor. So it's actually a pretty spectacular photo.
You just take that nose cone and make your Honest John.
So we got, there's tons of ideas for square rockets, and we continue to kind of just mess with it and try to make a couple kits every year, just because honestly I love rocketry. I started when I was 14, which was a long time ago, and I just love it. And so I kind of drug my youngest son into it, which he's back there and probably embarrassed that I'm going to mention it. But he's now, he was the one that got us going on the square rockets, and now he's going to be a senior at Purdue in aeronautical engineering technology next year. And so he's helping me introduce some stuff that we're working on, and that's 3D printed parts, which everybody's kind of doing that kind of stuff. And so he's designed our first little transition, just kind of trying to open up so that we can make models of more kits, that had reducers and that kind of stuff. So in the future, I think we're going to be trying to do some 3D printed parts that are square also. And pretty much that's it. We're just having fun doing rockets still, so appreciate the time, folks. Have a great evening.
All right, thanks, Rick.
If you look up
Take
pictures
a
of
long cut around the
viruses,
outside.
it's just a
And
virus.
next we have the famous Peter Alway, who is actually working on a new book and has come out with one of his booklets for this Naram to peddle, and from all I've heard, it's really cool, and I'm going to steal my copy one of these nights when he's not looking. And he's doing all kinds of interesting annotations back there.
Excuse me. Okay, got two things here. One's new, one's old. I'll start with
And
the
the old
old
one's
thing.
new and the new one's old, so.
Yeah. Here's what happened. I haven't sold posters in years. Okay. And part of the reason why is because I got sick of doing mail order. Under my bed, I found this box full of posters. And I have a bunch of these. I brought, I don't know, a dozen or two of these posters with me. They're $5. They're a version of the original Rockets of the World poster that, there was a version of it that had like mission patches on the back that I don't even remember the company that did these. But as part of the deal for him having permission to print these, I got a bunch of them. And I used to sell them for $5 each. And I found a bunch, and they're there. So if you got $5 and want a lovely Rockets of the World poster, which has disappeared from the world since then, well, it's reappeared in the world. So
Hey, put that in the auction and you'll get more than $5.
someone will get more than $5.
You want
Okay. I want $5. Okay, so what else? Okay, I have been working for the last few years slowly on a 5th edition of Rockets of the World. And it is okay. So for example, I spent all of 2015 working on a bunch of old gunpowder rockets from way back when. It started innocently Googling around and I found a link to something from Google Books, which is the treatise on ammunition from the Royal Military something or other in the 1800s. And it actually had scale data for a couple of black powder English rockets. And they'd even mentioned color. And then I kept poking around and I found a book on life-saving rockets buried away. And as I dug and dug and dug, I came up with 18 gunpowder rockets. Some of these are 19th century life-saving rockets, but there's Congreve rockets. There are ancient Chinese fire arrows. There is scale data from the year 1350 in the Fire Dragon manual that gives about 3 dimensions and a drawing of the oldest rocket known to mankind. So there's ancient Korean, there's all sorts of wonderful stuff here. It is 42 pages, which is thicker than any of my supplements. It's got standard rockets of the world drawings, most of which are actually full of legit published dimensions. Like this Cunningham line throwing rocket. I actually found a Coast Guard, or it's actually a U.S. Life Saving Service document that had all these dimensions. So, and there are photographs of a lot of these things, either vintage photos or museum exhibits. So this is legit stuff. And so if you're all caught up in this whole 20th, 21st century rockets like they're a new thing, this is a fun adventure into the distant past. And this is where I wish we had Steve Crystal here to say all these wonderful, he proofread this thing, and he was saying all sorts of nice things about it. It really is interesting stuff, and I think you'll find it worthwhile. These are 15 bucks. I got a stack of them back there. I'll sell them to you. By the way, I am not going back into mail order, which means I will sell here. If I have any leftovers, I'll try and find some vendor to take them off my hands. But I'm not going to be doing these by mail order. So this is, there are 75 copies in existence, and that's going to be all that I print. So you might want to pick them up this time. That is all. Oh, and buy this book.
And there will only be 74 available after Steal Mine. See how that works? Nepotism never hurts. Buy this book.
Nepotism's okay as long as you keep it in the family.
Yes. And now we have Tim Milligan of Apogee Components. I hope he's back there somewhere. It seems like I saw him. Yep, here he comes with a box full of rockets. What could possibly go wrong?
Fiberglass and thin.
They're not square.
Oh, my name's Tim Van Logan from Apogee Components. This year has been a very ambitious year. Last year in December I said, I'm going to do 12 rockets. Anybody who's ever written instructions on a rocket knows how hard that is. Fortunately I had help. The first, this is not the first one, but 4 of them came from Doug Schrock. It's called the Schrockets Rockets. He was selling the plans on his website, and I approached him and I said, hey, let's turn these into kits, and we'll sell, we'll do our best to sell them as much as we can. So this was the first one. This is called the Skonkel. It's kind of a German military theme, 24mm engine mount, 18-inch plastic parachute. Flies great. I think you'll like that one.
You'll never fly.
What's that? He'll never fly. He did 3 other ones.
I bet you I can make that glide.
This one's called the Ibis. I've been flying them at Narcon, or NSL. Knocked the fin off of this one. It's got a plastic resin boat tail that I made. Brand new nose cone. I had this one blow molded. So I've been spending some money on blow mold this year. This is the Ibis. It has this nice, all the parts are laser cut through the wall fins. It has a laser cut inlet duct. It's already pre-cut, so you don't have to do the wraps like you used to do in the past. It's the Ibis. This is the Johnny Star Commander. again, it's covered in red dust from Alamogordo, New Mexico, and knocked the fin off of it. Again, nice inlet on the bottom, laser cut. Lots of fins on this one. It uses the same nose cone, it's BT55. Johnny Star Commander. This is another one of his called the Sea Sting. This one a lot of people like. I like, it's kind of my favorite too, called the Sea Sting. Again, the inlet, that's kind of famous for Shrox. He likes his inlet. So that's 4 of them. One that I did, this was the first one called the egg busser. This is a competition egg locker rocket. Has a clear Lexan nose cone, one of our foam egg protectors inside. 18-inch parachute, plastic parachute. It has a simulated egg. Okay, that's the only way to keep the nose cone up. Like that. Inside is the foam. Give you a little extra protection. It's already pre-molded with the egg shape in there. It's a soft, 3-pound density foam. This one also comes with a flyaway rail guide that snaps on, so you don't have to have the launch lugs on here, so that you can fly it off a rail and the rail guide just pop off as soon as it leaves the pad. The rail guides, people like them, so they asked me to do other sizes. So those are some other products. I have a 13 millimeter, an 18 millimeter, 24 millimeter. This is a 24 millimeter with a standoff rail guide. So those rail guides just came out last month. This was the first one. This one came out actually, I think it was January 1st or January 2nd. We did one called it's a 2.6 inch rocket called the Vapor. I didn't bring one with, but it's a upscale version of the old Estes Phantom, which is all see-through. So it has a see-through body tube, so you can see the engine mount and the through-the-wall centering rings, or through-the-wall fin tabs and centering rings all inside. Then I wanted to do something for Naram, so we came out with a payload altitude rocket. I don't know if we'll see any out here on the range this week, because this is 19 millimeter tube that will carry the standard NAR 18 millimeter payload, single stage, so it'll fly on C engine. First time we launched it, we broke a record, but we didn't launch it off a piston, so it's still possible to set a new record. So this one has a very easy to remember name called the single stage payload altitude rocket.
Very German.
Yeah. It has a brand new vacuum form nose cone. It's claim to fame. I'm getting good at vacuum forming now. The next one that's going to come out. I'm trying to do the new NAR competition series. I'm trying to do a kit for each one. So this is altimeter altitude rocket. So it will fly the perfect flight Firefly altimeter, the Telemetrum, Altispectrum, Micropeak, and the Adrel. And the Firefly is a little bit, it will only fit into the BT-22, so I had to make this little payload tube here. But the Micropeak and the Adrel will actually fit inside of a coupler, so you can just pop the nose cone off. This one's blue now. You can pop the nose cone off and then just fly it like that. So it's much shorter if you're using the Micropeak or the Adrel. The Adrel will actually fit into a BT-5, so you can actually replace this nose cone, put a BT-5 nose cone on it, and fly it even higher. It's 2-stage, so flying it as a single stage, you can do quarter A, half A, or A, and the NAR series is up to a B engine, so you put 2 A's together and you fly the B engine. So that's B altitude. So for you people that are going to do competition next year, this is hopefully the one you'll get. Has a vacuum form nose cone, and I made a new vacuum form transition to make it all easy to put together. And then this morning I found out that they changed, in the new series competition, they changed the diameter of the Naram payload from 19 millimeters or from an 18 millimeter down to a coupler size. So I was going to do this rocket, which was basically the single stage payload altitude rocket. But now, what I'll just do is I'll just make a longer payload tube and slap this one on there. And so the payload tube will carry the new NAR payload into this rocket. So it actually cuts my work in half, so I have one less rocket. So now I gotta to get my 12 rockets this year, I gotta find another one. So if you have an idea for a 12th rocket for me, let me know. So for TARC this year, last year for TARC, they did transitions from BT70 or BT80 down to BT55 or BT60. And Apogee, we did a vacuum form transition. And we thought they were great. But then the kids started putting in these really high thrust motors into them. And they were vacuum formed, so they couldn't take the thrust. And it was kind of an embarrassment because we thought it was a great product. All of a sudden now it was so this year, I went out and spent the money, and I made a vacuum or a blow mold transition from BT80 to BT70. This one you could probably drive a car over, and it's not going to break down. So for if you're doing TARC with some kids and they need their transition, this is the one we have. We also have a body tube based transition with a shroud that goes around, kind of like a paper shroud. That's actually vacuum formed. So all the thrust goes through the tubes, nothing goes through the transition. And that one is also what we have available at the Apogee website. So that's my new transition. And then this week, brand new this week, we got nylon parachutes. So we have 3 sizes available. This is a 15-inch parachute. This is an 18-inch. You can't see the lovely pattern on this. This is the 24-inch. I'll pass this around. You can feel how nice and soft that is.
Oh, thank you.
I want it like this. I need it tomorrow. This is the 18-inch version. We did these again for TARC. Last year we ran out of parachutes for the TARC kids. So this year I said I'm not gonna run out of parachutes. We had a bunch of these made, so we have a lot of them. That's the and the 15-inch was actually, we did this one about 10 years ago as a 58-inch parachute. I liked the design, so I said I'll put this on the 15-inch. We ran out of all the other ones from the Dinosaur line. This is the smaller one. It's really soft, and then this will go, it's probably easily into a BT-50, probably even smaller. That's pretty much it. I do have some postcards of the Shocks, the kits. We sent some of these out to customers, so if you'd like a postcard, come over and get a postcard.
Yes. Disappear as they go. Take one, keep one, pass it.
If they don't make it around the road, just hit me up. Any questions?
So you have a pink rocket and an orange rocket. Are you planning to make the pink rocket in the orange color and the orange rocket in the pink color, or do we have to make our own one?
Are these contest rockets you mean?
Yes, those two right
You
there.
can pay them
They
any
look just
color.
alike, except one's pink and one's orange.
Yeah, well, this one's, it was 19 millimeter tube, so it's a little bit bigger. This one. And I took the nose cone off of this. Somehow I want some nose cone on your shirt. It's the same nose cone. But now I don't have to make this pink one anymore. It's going to be this one. You can pay, I recommend painting them on fluorescent color because they do go high. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tim, and Apogee also sponsored payload altitude medals this year's Naram, so thank you for doing that. Okay. Somewhere back there was Randy Bodway, I think, with E-Rockets.
I'll bring my box. Yeah, would you bring a rocket up? Sure. Howdy, everybody. Hello. I'm Randy Bodway. If you don't know me, you better come get to know me this week. I'll be here all week. Boy, I don't even know where to start. Let's see here. Estes screwed up, so we're here to save you. If you order your Starship Nova from us, we'll include the correct body tube instead of the piece of junk that Estes sent you. So as long as they're available, we'll have those. New kits this last year, we produced a few competition models that will be as much fun to fly as being in competition. Of course, one is the Blue Jay. I can't find my pod, but you guys know how this works basically. It's a boost glider, so it'll have a pod up front. Flies on 18mm motors. The design is probably a little bit familiar, but we've done a great job in re-engineering all the weak points on it, especially the main brake point, which is usually right here. We've doubled it up, and it's also a very large, what do you call those things? Keel, large keel. So you're not going to have to worry about breaking it. It's also called the Blue Jay because on the front head of it is the head of a Blue Jay. And Jay Berry actually was the designer. So this is a nice kit. It's available at E-Rocket, so you can just order it through them. The other thing we have that is brand new, last year still, is a little helicopter. Now this one went to Naram last year and got 4th place in the C division by a rookie. It's basically a drop fin helicopter that when deployed, of course I didn't put the rubber bands out, but you know, it's a beautiful little helicopter. It's got some very interesting points that makes it very easy for a novice to build. It's got rubber band connections that have been cut out by the laser cutter. So that makes that simple. It's got a different type of hub on it so that you can actually build the hub flat on the table and then fold it up and put it on the rocket labs. And of course, because it's a drop fin, there's no burn string. So this is a wonderful kit. It is available at E-Rockets. You know, just place your order there. Or get it from me this week. I'll be here all week. The next kit we came out with is the Little Augie. And Little Augie's just, this is an SLS version, which is a Semrock large scale version. So it's a heavy duty tube. It's got a nice parachute in it. It's got a nice leather, or not leather, but ripstop nylon parachute. Leather. You can see where my mind's going. Anyway, it uses 29mm motors. So it's a 2-stage unit. This is the first kit that's ever had a pin in it. And what you do is you remove the pin, you put your motor in it, Estes black powder motor, put your black powder motor in it, put the pin back in it, load the parachute and the wadding and everything as you normally would. And then the second motor, the O motor, is going to load from the bottom. And it simply snugs in there. It's kind of like Chad staging a rocket. And it's got aluminum foiling on the inside so that it protects it when the second stage goes up. So what will happen is you'll light the first stage, it'll go up about 500 feet, it will light the second stage, dump the motor, and then because it is driving the forces, the air through the front, it actually howls like a dog. Okay? So it's the Little Augie Doggy, and it'll go up another 1,000 feet. So this is not a rocket for the weary because it's going to go such huge altitudes. But this is a fun rocket that, this is our first upscale of a kit that came out from a design of the month type thing that Estes had many, many years ago. We modified it, we upscaled it, turned it into something that the guys that like these big black powder motors will just love. So if you're interested in the Little Augie,
What engines do you recommend?
come see me. This has, well, it can run on the E16s, an E16 combination, or an F-15 combination, or a combination of the two. All right? So it'd be a great way to burn two 29mm black powder motors at the same time.
Wow.
All right, the other kit I don't have because it had some mishaps in a launch, but I brought the most important part, and that is the helicopter to the maple seed. This is something Carl started many years ago, and he couldn't figure out how to get the darn thing to fly. So we figured out how to get it to fly. It's the only one I got left. I don't want to throw it because if it gets stuck in the ceiling, like everywhere place else I go. But anyway, it looks.
I got a stick to knock it down.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get something to knock down. If you've ever seen the Estes Mosquito, the big one, it looks kind of like the Estes Mosquito when it goes up. It goes up on 24mm motors. It'll go to 500 to 1,000 feet. It will drop the 3 fins off that are maple seed. So these maple seed down. Has anyone had a chance to build one of these yet? It's quite an engineering marvel. If you want something that's really fun to fly and comes down in 4 pieces, come buy one of these from us. We do not have all the parts available yet to replace them, but we're going to have the additional maple seeds if you lose a seed like I do all the time. I mean, I throw them as demos and they get caught in the ceiling or in the lights or wherever. So I try to keep away from
Randy,
that.
if you buy 3 replacement blades, you get a free body.
Yes, for $34, I'll sell you a 3-pack, and we'll get you going. All right, the Farside X. The Farside X is now available. This has not officially been released till this very moment right now. So this is the Farside X, 3-stage rocket. I've got a ton of these available, so if you're interested in this, I've got them. That'll be up on our webpage here probably in the next 24 hours or so. The other thing that is brand new is the Thunderstorm. And if you got a chance to be out on the sport range, we tried the smallest motor today, which was a D12-3. And it doesn't quite do the altitude we expected, but that's okay. Simulations are sometimes wrong. This is a Carl McLaughlin rocket that he designed before he passed away. I think we made only one modification, 2 modifications. We changed to through-the-wall fins, so the fins go all the way through the wall down to the motor mount. 24mm motor. They are basswood fins. He was going to do them in balsa wood. We're not going to do that. They're basswood. So those are some nice upgrades, and this kit is now available. Today's its official release date. Tomorrow we're going to fly this on an F-44, which I believe would be about the biggest motor we would typically fly in. So we'll fly this tomorrow again as well. Now, I've got... All right, did anybody hear about our mishap? My mishap? Our mishap. Oh. Listen to me. It was my mishap. There are rockets strung on I-75 from Dayton northward. So anybody that wants to pick those up off the side of the highway, feel free. There's a bunch of rockets on the side of the road, including Estes, Little Joe 2s, and we're not sure what else. I thought originally that all the Moabs fell on the highway too, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, this is the Moab. Some of you might have seen the stand on the Facebook. When Jay was making this, we thought he was switching to railroading, but then we found out later he was just making a stand for his Moab. The stand doesn't come with the Moab, but the Moab is the coolest rocket. Obviously, it's the mother of all bombs. It flies on a 24mm motor, so this can be D12, E12s. It is rear ejection, so when it is coming back in, it looks like the real bomb. Okay? Now, today we flew it. It was a beautiful up. The down wasn't as good as it could have been. But this is... Carl used to have these X kits where you used to have to go online and get your instructions. We discontinued all of those because they wasn't really providing what we were looking for, and we were providing a lot of substandard parts. Don't like that. The Moab is what we're replacing the X kit version with what we call builder's kits. A builder's kit would be something that you guys would build, not the typical public out there, okay? This is a builder's kit. It has very minimal instructions and all the parts. This is probably a skill level 4 because it is grid fins, and these are all pieces of basswood that go together. It takes probably an hour just to put the grid fins all together. So this is a skill level 4 kit. We've got white decals on it. Nice kit. Limited edition. We think we're going to make 50. It might be a little bit less than that. It does have 3 ounces of nose weight to make it stable, so we've done a lot of work with it. It is truly a builder's kit. If you guys are interested in this, you'll be able to buy it on the eRockets website until the 40 or 50 are gone. So just be aware, this will be coming up. All right, did I get through everything? Almost. A few things that we've got that are new for eRockets is tracking powder. We've got some reasonably large bottles of tracking powder. We're going to sell these for $5 a piece till they're gone. This might be a good week to use the great dispersion orange tracking powder. It's available from us. We've got some large containers, and when the large containers are gone, the containers are smaller because we couldn't get bigger containers anymore. But anyway, these are only $5 this week until they're gone. The other thing we've got that's new for us is we have a high heat tape. You guys are used to seeing the Chad Ring tape that's in yellow. We have it in red, and it's a lot less expensive. It's only $10 a roll. So if you're interested in high heat tape, we've got that available now. And last but not least, I got this for my wife, but then she said, no, I should just sell it. Remove before flight keychains are available from us as well. I think they're $3 a piece. So come see us. We're at the tent down by the contest range, and we'll be here pretty much all week. All right.
Alrighty, thank you, Randy. And anybody else? Oh, the cross is back there.
Usually the last.
What?
I'm usually last.
You are last, I think, or is there someone else?
Is somebody else?
Nope.
Anybody else with real products today? Must mine or tomorrow or the next one. Okay, I'm Doug Frost. We switched the name of the company recently to from Rocketry Golf to Frost Rocketry. Decided to branch out and do a lot of other things. Long story short, started out with Rocketry Golf. Greatest tax write-off I ever came across. Okay, I've been writing this one off since 1989. Average between $5,000 and $7,000 in my pocket every year, not the IRS. So T-shirts, hats. I challenge golf pros to a game. First couple of guys that tied one and beat the other. I got the catalogs. Take them on home with you. 2016. I haven't upgraded it since. We have Rocketry Golf kits, hats, T-shirts, book, 60-page book, a launch pad that's a killer, Azel launch pad, azimuth 360 degree and elevation 180. Now I've been flying these at 45 degrees from vertical. Oh my God, it's against the NAR code. Well, in 2013, met with the NAR board in California and said, would you be kicking me out of the NAR if I'm flying model rockets to 45 from vertical? They said, well, if it's at a NAR sanctioned event, yes. As it's not a NAR sanctioned event, I'm on a golf course competing with golf pros. We did a bit for the Discovery Channel. Guy came out of Toronto, Canada, flew all the way to California, hired a film crew, 10 hours filming. I'm playing this golf pro out there in Auburn, California. He was beating me bad because he could putt way better than I can. But the rocket launch to the green, I have a 537-yard shot. I'm sorry, take it back. 437-yard shot, Aerotech E, landed 20 feet from the pin. And I got these two golf pros on the camera. One says, oh my God, we can't beat this guy, or something like that. He said, either we have no chance. So I got him on DVD. The videos will be out soon. I had them, and then I packed them out of California, moved, and they're in my garage in storage. So what I have is the Rocketry Golf catalogs for free. T-shirts and hats are online. The book, all about how to play it. So I haven't told the wife yet, but I'm $10,000 away from moving this thing worldwide. Okay. Gonna hold a tournament near Charlotte, North Carolina, roughly a year from now. Gonna be sending out free Rocketry Golf kits to those who want to compete in it. Normally they're $18 each. You need 4 to 6 of them to compete in a 9-hole game, okay? We might play only 4 or 5 holes. You can have a designated putter with you. Entry fee at about $200 per person, yes, including the designated putter. Trophies and cash prizes. We're looking at about $6,000 first place and whittle it down for second and third. So we'll be announcing that in Naram magazine, hopefully in about 6 months. So I have a Jayhawk data package. I'm producing 2 Jayhawk kits. Last year I came out of the retirement, more or less, built a Jayhawk model for scale altitude. Okay, it's almost 19-inch long, 1.63 diameter. Well, with 24mm motors, it's kind of like taking a knife to a gunfight. Okay, didn't have a chance, knew it 8 months out building it, but it came in first place after the static judging, the scale judging. So I'm sitting in the first place spot going, ooh, I'm back, I'm coming back. So then I built myself a 30.5-inch one. This will be a kit by November. Okay. I've had balsa machining build that here, build me a dozen nose and tail cones, and they are precise. The smaller one, I've got 18 of those nose and tail cones for the 19-inch one, 1.63. This is 2.63 by 30.5. This will be at the Naram here, they're in it next week. And come look at the photos, the data package. I've got 3 of them online. The full thing is $95. Everything to enter it in the Nationals. 6 blueprints. Some are Bureau of Naval Weapons, beach aircraft, and so forth. A couple of them are NAR. We've done the NAR blueprints are pretty good. And then part of the data package is all these photos from the real thing down in Southern California. We do measure the hatches because they're on the blueprints with no dimensions. So we measured the real hatches, 1 on tail cone, 2 on nose cone. So all this is available in the $95 packet. I have a $35 packet. It's all on my website. You can pick up a card up here, get on my website, check it out. If you ever wanted to build a Jayhawk, I was involved in the 1980 Centuri kit with Chris Pocock. They sold thousands of them. It's a very popular bird. Delta wing, canard fins, chevron-shaped tip rudders. So that'll be out by November, both those kits. Then we're going into whatever size you want on 3D printed nose cones. These things are the stained plastic in the 2-liter bottles, soda bottles. You could drive over this and it won't break. Well, I haven't tried that. But these are $5 this week. But any size you want, we can make them 3D printed. So that there's a page all about that here. So keep your eye on us and pick up the card. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Doug. While I still have everybody here, there are a couple things. It was mentioned that there are drones flying around at the field. As far as I'm concerned, that's fine, but I will remind you that drones are not covered by the NAR insurance, so if you crash into something with your drone, it's your problem and not the NAR insurance problem. I was reminded of that today, so I thought I'd announce it. Yes?
Do you wish to be notified if someone is flying a drone somewhere, or do we just need to stay out of the way?
I think basically I'm going to say stay out of the way, and if it becomes an issue, then they change. And we have a winner. At least one is here. We had our contest for Sputnik 1 commemorative and Apollo commemorative. And one person here launched one of each. And his name is Bob Caplow, so come and get your So we will. Yeah, one is Apollo 11 and one or Apollo whatever, and the other Sputnik 1. So there. All right. Thank you. And we also have a horizontal super rock winner somewhere, and I'm not sure where he is, and so we will postpone that until we figure that out. And that is it for Manufacturers Forum. If anybody has any questions or other things of your contest director, I'm hiding somewhere else.
Go
ahead.
Did you want to remind people about breakfast tomorrow?
Yes, indeed. We have one day this whole 2 weeks. The hotel will be providing us breakfast, and that's tomorrow morning. It's set up from 6:30 to 8 so that FAI guys have a chance to sneak in there and grab theirs before they get out to the field at 8, so they can be out of here by 7. And the hotel would only do it for an hour and a half, so 6:30 to 8 it is. I have been informed if you're a real early bird, often it's set up about 15 minutes ahead of the 6:30 time. But that is a continental breakfast, they call it, and I have no idea what it will include, but you show up and find out, and if it's to your satisfaction, you've had breakfast. If it isn't, you'll have plenty of time to get it somewhere else.
Which room?
It will be in the,
It's the room next to the restaurant.
yeah,
Thornapple?
Thornapple room. It will be a Thornapple. And you're all invited to go there and have breakfast.
You got it.
Alrighty. Anything else? And thank you for reminding me of that.
Well, I didn't even hear, I don't know where you went. You guys both still in the, up here with Up until a year ago, I spent a lot of time going back and forth to Ann Arbor, so. My daughter just graduated a year
No, I did a master's.
I can cycle between the cameras. I didn't know I could do that.
You did.